right, hello and welcome to another Expert Insight interview. My name is John Golden from SalesPOP, online sales magazine and Pipeline or CRM, joining you as usual from a sunny heat wave, actually, San Diego right now. And I'm delighted to be joined from what they like to say here is across the pond in the UK, up in the West Midlands by Shabnum B. How are you doing, Shabnum?
I'm very well, thanks. How are you?
I'm great. And you are the founder and director of Early Nurture Preschool in Birmingham, which achieved outstanding rating from Ofsted in March 2025. You're also named Entrepreneur of the Year at the MBCC 2025 Awards. And you rebuilt your thing from ground up around the principles of attachment, emotional regulation, and early interventions. And you cap enrollment at just 30 children, and to protect the quality and intimacy that define your approach. And what we want to talk about is leadership growth under visibility, like stepping boldly into the public eye while refusing to step away from hands-on day-to-day work. Um, that's a fascinating combination, because usually when you step out, into the public and you're becoming the face of your business and you're going out and you're speaking and you're going podcasts and all of this, normally it does require somewhat stepping away from the day-to-day of the business or the involvement, and people can get a little detached doing that. But so tell me, number one, why you wanted to do that and how you've been able to balance it.
I think I've never wanted to go into the public eye. I just happened to have received so much recognition that I've landed in the public eye. I've always set designated time, so I'd say 100% to the preschool and 30% to the new networks in the public eye that I have formed. The networking and the public eye meetings are normally done in my own social time. So either in the evenings, weekends, or bank holidays. For example, I'm doing this podcast now, and that's a weekend. It's my own time. And again, it's about planning your time and making sure that your operational time at preschool is seen as operational, and I see this as inoperational. So this is something that I do want to pursue now as a hobby, and also to basically pursue my career as well. And I think when it comes to the two, so when it comes to preschool hands-on, we still want to deliver a high quality education, and we are thriving for success. We are continuing to make changes and valid changes. When it comes to awards are just a recognition, a testament, but we want to continue to deliver what the focus and vision was, and that was to deliver high quality care.
Yeah. So doing it in addition to, hands-on running the school there daily and all of that, is how are you managing to make sure that you don't overextend or burn yourself out or put too much pressure on yourself?
I think at this precise moment, I am working more than I should be working. I am overloaded, but I think because I've got a passion, a desire, it's something that's new that's come into me, the public eye, and I am enjoying it. I'm enjoying both. I think I've always had an interest in networking and getting to know new people from across the world, and that's fascinating. And at the same time, I am learning. I have learned a lot of new things, and I think that's the reason I continue to do both. I mean, on the weekends, I'm still going to the gym. I'm still enjoying my hobbies as well at the same time. And I think the good thing at work is I've got a deputy who will share my workload as well. So, and I think it's, again, having a team that's productive, but at the same time empathetic, so we can share the workload. And I think that's it, really.
Has it changed? Have you have to alter your leadership style at all? Or, I mean, you say and you have other people. So have you had to change it at all to make sure that, you're able to straddle both, but you're still able to kind of motivate the people who are helping you?
What I'm doing is I am doing an extra an hour and a half in the morning, so I'm going in extra early. Sometimes I am finishing extra late as well. Again, it's work-life balance. It's my own business. I think because it's my own business and I'm self-employed, I want to continue the vision, and I want to continue delivering the quality of care that we are delivering. And the main thing is that we are recognised for what we are delivering. And I think, to me, having the satisfaction of the parents and the children to see that they're thriving or making a difference in the community. It's been recognised in the community as well. At the moment, it's a story that's been shared worldwide. It's becoming an international recognition as well as a global recognition. What was the question?
No, I was just talking about leadership style.
Yeah. I think to me, I think I get told a lot now that you're a born leader, and I think I didn't see leadership within myself when I was quite young. And I think because I was going through a divorce and I was single, I didn't really see the envy or the value of myself until I got older. And when I received my first outstanding, I think it was in 2008, it's when I realised I have got potential and I want to pursue this and I'm going to give it my best. And I think that's what became an advocate part of mine.
No, I love that. And tell me, so with your preschool, I mean, you deliberately keep it small, and just give me the philosophy behind it, because it must be the temptation, especially when you start to get popular and people, really appreciate it, that you think, yeah, I could maybe go bigger. So just tell me about your strategy and why you have it set up this way, and how you resist the temptation maybe to dilute.
Okay, yeah, sure. So my journey started back in 2003 as a single mom. I had no educational background. I was a lunchtime supervisor, new to education. From there, I started studying, and I was given a role as a manager at an Anglesey Playgroup, which is the same building, but we just obviously changed the name. It was Anglesey Playgroup. I was there for 20 years. I had received 3 outstanding inspections. I had won a leadership award in education. I faced a bit of challenges at the time, and I was forced to liquidate the company after 20 years, and that hit hard. That was something that was really touching. It was heartbreaking, but at the same time, I had that resilience in me that I've come so far. I'm not going to let it go. I'm going to fight this. And that's when Early Nurture Preschool was launched. So Early Nurture Preschool was launched in December 2022. And to be honest, it was a preschool. It was an opportunity given to me to finally establish and operate a preschool that I wanted to.
Right.
So we came up with a vision that was different. We had an impact that was different. It's called Values Were Designed. The name speaks for itself. It's early years. We have children from the early years into the preschool, and a very nurturing preschool. So Early Nurture Preschool was devised from my experience of the children. It was born with a clear and a powerful vision, creating space where children thrive academically and socially. And I think when we launched in December 2022, I think from 2 years onwards in December 2024 is when we started to hit the international recognition.
Right.
And to be honest, that came out of nowhere. I wasn't expecting international recognition. And we got an email from South Korea and the Shabnum provincial team. There was 22 delegates that came out. And we talked about the importance of early education, Ofsted, what makes us, deliver a quality education. Why are we so special? What can they take back from the UK into South Korea? And I think just having those conversations, we were able to devise a more effective population policy for South Korea. And from there, we were nominated for the Montessori International Awards. So we were the finalists for the Montessori International Awards in 2024. And from there, obviously, we got Ofsted. And from there, we just became viral. And I think what people are not realising is that we have not been recognised for the 3 years of what we've launched. It's basically the history of myself. So it's about the single mom that had no vision, no impact, started with nothing, and has now become very successful. And in total, it's about 24 years later.
Right.
And I think
overnight success.
Yeah, and I think I do get that a lot. Everyone's like, "Oh, she's so successful all of a sudden." And I think what people are not realising is it's taken years to build. And I think it's just now become more viral and more parrot because the business is under my name. We've changed the name, we've rebranded it, and the community know what I've been through, and I've given it my full resilience, and I'm very passionate, and I think that's very passionate, And now I think the most recently when I went to a World Leaders Summit in the University of Oxford in, I think it was August, when I won the Outstanding Leader and the Leadership Award. That was unexpected. There was 30 world leaders there. Again, a fascinating experience. Thrown in the deep end to do a speech in front of everyone, sharing my journey. And to be honest, I now enjoy sharing my journey because I think people are fascinated by me, and I'm also inspiring the single moms out there.
Yeah.
So it does take time. It does take a lot of confidence. It takes a lot of resilience. But when I look back now, I am quite proud of myself to see where I've started to where I am
Should be.
now. And I've
Yeah.
still got a vision to continue.
Mhm. So, I have interesting that there's a former colleague of mine. He had this friend, hugely successful, and he had two things on his wall in his office. He had his Harvard MBA, and he had his first Chapter 11, which is bankruptcy, right? From his first. And my colleague asked him and said, "Which did you learn more from?" And he goes, "Oh, that's easy. Forget the Harvard MBA. It was the Chapter 11 bankruptcy." So just tell me, what did you learn from having to liquidate your company and stuff? What were the lessons? Because that's obviously there's
I
a
think
huge amount of learnings from
one of
that.
the lessons was I was outstanding at the time. And when I was forced to liquidize, it was differences in leadership, senior leadership at the time. We had a new senior leadership team that didn't know me, and I
Mhm.
had come from a senior leadership team that had valued me. So all of a sudden, I was given half a day's notice to liquidize a company.
Wow.
Um, at the time, I accepted the liquidization, but I knew I wasn't going to let go of the land. I
Mhm.
wasn't going to let go of the building because that was something that I had built up over 20 years. And
Mhm.
it took us a lot of tears. There was a lot of heartbreak. We felt alone. But at the same time, I was a community person that was linked to some some very valuable people in the community who come forward, who are my moral support. They stood up like soldiers. And I think just me having that one conversation with that one person to say, Shabs, you can do it. Come
Mhm.
on, you're very powerful. We're behind you because we value you. And I think that was my strength. And once we fought it and we launched, again, it's about, I'm still working with the same people.
Mhm.
And one of the lessons learned was that God had a different opportunity. One door closes, another one opens.
Mhm.
And I was gonna, maybe I was gonna shine and become the real me because before I was working for somebody else and now I'm my own boss. And I
Yeah.
was given the opportunity to launch my own business. And I think one of the lessons that I've learned for myself was I've never ever had a vision of opening my own nursery. And
Mhm.
this is something that was given to me as an opportunity. And again, I think, yeah, so I think the liquidizing at the time, I didn't see a clear pathway, if that makes any sense.
Yeah,
Uh,
no, totally.
yeah, I didn't see no way out. I just felt like, they say that when the whole world comes down, and that was it. And it took me 4 weeks to sit down, reflect on myself, and thought to myself, no, I've worked hard for this. I was a single mom. And
Mhm.
one of the things that hit me hard was that I'm the only provider, and you've taken the income away from me,
Right.
and my only source of income, and how could you do that to me?
Mhm.
And then part of me was saying, no, Shabs, you can fight this. You've always been on your own. You're a born leader and you can do this. Prove it to yourself. And I think that's one of the lessons learned is that you don't realize your strength until you've been put into that situation.
Yeah, no, I think that's a great lesson for people. I think, that strength through adversity, and I think that's it. You have two choices when you have situations like that. You can I mean, everybody needs time. I mean, because something like that, when somebody loses a job or when the company goes down or whatever, it is like a little death, right? There's a
Is yeah.
little, yeah, and you need a short grieving period maybe, but then you got to pick yourself up and move on. I mean, because then you have two choices. You can either grieve forever or you can take the lessons and decide you're going to be stronger and move on. So, what was the thing that surprised you the most about yourself?
I think it was because at the time, navigating it
Mhm.
and building trust in the community again and facing those challenges um, and having that determination, it has paid off now in 2025 and 2026. And I think it's the innovative and holistic approach that we took on for the early years. Um, sorry, what was the question?
Yeah, no, I was going to say the thing that surprised you the most about
I think the
yourself.
biggest, what surprised me for myself was that I never knew I had that inner strength. And I never knew that I had that knowledge and that expertise until you put to the test.
Mhm.
And I think sometimes when you're put in that situation and you're put in that test, like we've never ever even thought of a name of a building, just revamping it, reorganizing the building, um, restructuring it, advertising again for the children. It was just me and my work colleague, just the two of us. And I think again, setting the visions and the core values was a struggle. But I think at the same time, when we looked at what we had achieved previously and how well we were doing socially and economically in the community, we wanted to continue.
Mhm. So tell me, you mentioned community a lot, and I think this is something that's really important because we live in a strange world today, of people getting very disconnected, and it just seems to me that community at the local level and community is where people can make the most difference. Because let's face it, we could talk about global issues right now, be fascinating conversation, but we'd have zero impact on it.
Yeah.
So tell me about the importance of community.
I think one of the Early Nurture Preschool, the building where I am now, that was the school that I went to when I was younger.
Oh, wow.
Firstly, it holds value, and that's the reason I was not going to let go of that building.
Hmm.
Secondly, I live a couple of miles away from the preschool, and a lot of the parents, a lot of the service users are my community friends.
Hmm.
So I get a lot of children from friends, a lot of families, neighbours. So we're a close-knit community. And I think that's one of the reasons there's a lot of trust with my parents of community. Secondly, I'm also a community forum member for the Lazar's community. We support local rubbish, streets, housing, all sorts. Thirdly, I've got a very good relationship with the local MPs and the local councillors. They pay visits at least twice a year, 3 times a year, to see the children. And they'd also support me with other things, like, for example, last year they organised a tour at the House of Commons for the children to go, which is fascinating. It was a big thing that an MP can give us.
Wow.
And that's what it is. And the children actually are learning from this as well. So, the children know who the local councillor is. They say, oh, he's a rose for Labour. The Independent Party, they'll say, oh, he's on his own. I says, yeah, he's on his own. And again, it's parents recognising the fact that it's not just us giving back to the community are giving it back to us as well. I've also got a very good relationship with the local bishop who will come into the preschool and do Christmas stories. He'll give free Easter eggs. He'll also do Christmas stories for me as well. So again, it's having those connections in the community. So I've always been a community person. I'm also a SEND governor as well for the local school. So I spoke to a lot of parents privately with the SEND process as well. And I think, again, to me, I'm proud of the community that I live in. I've been living here all my life. And to have a preschool at the centre of our community, I think it's quite rewarding in itself. And I've taught children whose children are coming to me now as well. And
That
that's it.
must be
Yeah,
fantastic.
yeah, it
Yeah,
is. Yeah.
that must be so fantastic. But yeah, I mean, it just shows you how much positive impact you can make on the local community, and I think that's another lesson people should take away, that if you really want to make make it in your community. Yeah, and let's tell me, what does your school, what are you most proud about that your school does differently?
The preschool. One of the things is obviously the international links that we formed most
Hmm.
recently. Yeah, I talked about the South Koreans coming
Yeah.
out, and I've spoken to you about the international award. And I've been to the World Leaders Summit where I've met the international people. I went on holiday to Dubai and I actually captured a nursery there. I was really interested in, having a tour, and I did that as well. I interviewed one of the nursery managers,
Hmm.
and she was UK, which was really intriguing to me.
Yeah.
And the conversation that we had was quite eye opening, because I've got a huge interest in SEND at the moment, children with additional needs,
Hmm.
and we're the process and what made her go to Dubai and leave the UK. And the conversation that we had was, she was like, oh, I think the education, the early years is better in the UK. And this is what made you leave. And she goes, at the time, I thought it's the right thing to do. But here, the children don't get the support for the SEND pathway, and they've got to pay for that, the whole process of the SEND diagnosis, whereas in the UK, it's free. And I deal with that myself as a SENCO. And I found that quite intriguing in itself. So when I come back, and I was like, do you know what, I'm going to continue this, the international relationships. So I took part in a virtual online meeting a couple of weeks ago where I won the outstanding leader for the international conference.
Hmm.
Again, it was talking to professors and how they teach and how they emphasize the outdoor learning, and just bringing that into the UK, into my provision. We've most recently, I don't know if you know it, there's a lady called Scarlett Lewis in the USA. She had a son called Jesse who died in a school shooting in the early years at the age of 6. And he had left a note in his kitchen saying, choose love and healing. And again, now what we've done is we've brought that into our preschool last week. Children were donated and T-shirts from Scarlett Lewis herself. And the children talked about choosing love instead of fear, and talk
Mm.
about healing. And again, it's about what we do is that we're not just teaching them what we teach in the UK, we're actually
Yeah.
taking things from other continents of the country. And I think that's unique and that's different in itself. Oh, yeah, and the Easter eggs last year were donated by America as well. There was a person that was connected to the priest. So again, we've got links all over the
Mhm.
place.
No, it's fantastic. I mean, because it seems to me that even through the preschool, you're preparing, like, good citizens, right?
lifelong
Good.
skills. And I think
Yeah.
that's what we do, is that we want to teach them skills that are lifelong. So they're not short term. So, for example, the
Mhm,
visit parliament, they're looking at who they're voting. Why are we voting for these people? Are they
mhm,
actually supporting us? And
mhm.
again, with this, the Scarlett Lewis, where the son passed away. I mean, these are 3-year-olds, and I remember them saying, "Miss, we choose love instead of fear." So when they were, when there was a little breakout, and they'd be like, "I choose love." And again, it was about the fact that, the behavior management was dealt better with those new strategies put in than the strategies that we already had. And we emailed the pictures over, and Scarlett was, delighted, and she was like, "I'm really fascinated that you've actually put my son's message through." And to me, it was like, well, we choose love, and we
Mhm.
want to, deliver that hope across the world. And that's one of the reasons. I think what we do is different. And secondly, again, it's getting the community people into your preschool
Yeah.
and using them. And the parents actually come into the community as well. So the community are offering a lot of workshops as well. So we do bleed control, first aid, send. So there's a lot of things that parents can access as well.
Fantastic.
And we do a lot of community trips at the end of the year. So we don't just do it for our preschool, we invite the whole community. So we do like
Ah,
5 or 6 coaches to Corney Beach, Blackpool, wherever they want to go. We do that for the whole community.
wow, that's fantastic. Well, listen, Shabnam, this has been fascinating. All
Thank
of
you.
Shabnam's information will be below this video. But before we go, please do remind people about what you do.
Yeah, sure. I'm Shabnum B, the director of Early Nurture Preschool. Um, Early Nurture Preschool is established in the West Midlands in Birmingham. We facilitate for children aged 2 to 5. So we work with the disadvantaged criteria, the working family criteria, and we also offer free daycare. And we deliver a high quality of care. And
Mhm.
our information can be found on our website, which is www.earlynurturepreschool.co.uk. And we also have a Facebook page. And I also have a personal Instagram page and a TikTok page, which is Shabsy12.
Excellent. So I'd encourage you, if you if you're interested in preschool and stuff, go check it out. I mean, even if you're here in the States, you probably could learn some stuff, because it sounds like you've built a phenomenal facility, a phenomenal philosophy, and as you said, I mean, when you're getting kids of kids and stuff coming through, I mean, that's amazing.
We want to continue the legacy, hopefully.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you again. Thank you for
Thank
watching and listening, and I'll see you all again very soon.
you. It's been a pleasure.